Hard sports all plays. Yeah. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Hard sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as the children say in the streets, what it do, baby? It is Monday, March 21st. Welcome to ASAP in the morning. I'm joined by my guy, Lennon, who's about to beat the dog shit out of me on Wednesday on Jeopardy. Lennon, how you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm not getting my ass beat right now. So, I'm just kind of holding my breath and hoping that Wednesday will not be that bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show in store for you. Nurkic is a loser on and off the court, gets injured, but can still throw fans' phones. We'll get into that. Coach K looks like he's crying every other play, so now the moment is really starting to set in. How far will Duke go riding this Coach K's final season momentum? We got a little bit of MVP talk because Lennon's pissing me off. And, of course, Matt Ryan. God knows what is going to happen to him. But speaking of quarterbacks, let's start it off with Baker Mayfield. The Browns got Deshaun Watson. Baker Mayfield is now crew expendable. They signed Jacoby Brissett to be the backup. So at this point, it's just a matter. It's not if, it's just when Baker Mayfield goes. So, Lennon, what teams do you think should trade for Baker, and what are some realistic trade packages for the former number one overall pick?
Well, taking a look at the league, I feel like obviously Indianapolis would be one. With them not having a formidable quarterback. I mean, they have some young quarterbacks that are unproven, but I feel like they just need a little bit of time from maybe a quarterback who's been in the league for a good minute that can help show them the ropes. I would say also New Orleans, Jameis Winston, he's had that ACL tear from last year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe he could go on there, be a starter there, and help out Jameis. But if we're being realistic, I feel like maybe they could get a first if they're lucky, like a low first-round draft pick, not like this year, but maybe like next year. But if you're looking more towards capital for this year, I feel like it would be like a third and a player. That way they can kind of get something they need in return too.
Yeah, obviously, I think the Colts definitely should be, the number one team to pick him up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you said, if he goes to call, I think Frankie hit on the head. I think the perfect deal would be for a third rounder. Maybe if they're not going to part with it, maybe a second rounder. Maybe because, again, this is the Colts. They're coming off a respectable year. So, it's, you know what I mean? They're in a win now mode. So that second round pick, they're willing to part ways with. I do like Baker, but the issue he has right now, and this is really the sad part about it, wherever he goes, it's basically a tryout. And what I mean by that is this is his final year of his contract, and this is with that team option. So they picked it up that way they could trade him, right? They're gonna trade him, and now this is kind of where Baker's gonna be in purgatory for a while, because if he doesn't light it up and in essence become a top 5 quarterback, he's either gonna get cheap deals that he's never gonna like, or he's gonna get franchise tagged to oblivion.
Yeah.
It's really that's really the sad state of affairs that Baker Mayfield is in right now. If not the Colts, another team I would honestly think they should consider the 49ers. They don't want Jimmy G, right? They're already saying we're going to get rid of Jimmy G. They must be extremely confident in Trey Lance, but what if Trey Lance doesn't work out? What if, you know what I mean? What if he's just not ready just yet?
I mean, it could be a situation if he gets injured first game of the season and then they're out of quarterback because they got rid of Garoppolo.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I'm saying I would honestly I wouldn't play Trey Lance yet. I really wouldn't. I've seen some of the film in practice. If you thought Jordan Love was horrible, wow, this kid is somehow worse. It is
Yeah.
horrible. But again, maybe they just caught him on a bad day or whatever the case may be. I do think the Niners. I do like the Saints. I do like that. I think with the whole Jameis Winston thing. I hope Jameis stays because he was playing nice. I liked him. He was playing very well. He's playing with it himself. He had a coach. But here's something that people are not really paying attention to anymore. Why was he playing better? Because he had Sean Payton. Sean Payton's not there anymore. So is Jameis Winston really going to be successful with the Saints still? Like, with Sean Payton out, will he? I don't know. That's a big question mark I have. Another team, Miami. I think Miami could be a situation where, you don't believe in Tua anymore. And again, me personally, I'm a Tua guy. I really am. But if they want to give up on Tua, I guess Baker would be another option. You know what I mean?
I feel like Miami would be more hesitant just because of the tank for Tua, just of what they had to go through to get him. I feel like it would have been more of a letdown if they got rid of him.
Right.
And with the Saints, I feel like it was like you said, it's because he had Sean Payton. But it's kind of like with it's kind of like with Brady and Belichick. Like with Brady leaving, you don't know if he's going to. Well, obviously he's going to succeed, but you don't know how well it's going to be
right
under a new coach.
Right, and then another one, obviously, because Frankie said it. Frankie said Seattle. I've said this for a little bit. I think Seattle would be a very special, a very smart place. That should at least inquire. Not get rid of DK, but maybe Tyler Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you do that and you send Tyler Lockett over to the Browns, I think it'll put the Browns in a situation where, okay, now we don't have to rely and depend and cross our fingers and hope and pray that Jarvis Landry comes back. Now, not only we have a respectable run game, we have, and that we can put both running backs, we can line them up outside too and give them some pass plays. We had Njoku, who obviously we like a lot. We still have Donovan Peoples-Jones. We have Amari, who, right? And now you put in Tyler Lockett. I think you have somewhat of a respectable wide receiver corps, right? Where you don't have to start going and reach and then maybe even panic too much and then in a desperate attempt, get Jarvis and have to pay him, Christian Kirk type money, right? Or even Devontae Adams type money, right? So I think Seattle, and again, for Seattle, it works because let's be honest. Drew Lock, come on, let's relax, pump the brakes. The kid is just a backup. There's just no other way around it. Like, let's just
he's a good player, but he's not a starter in my eyes.
No.
He may have like one of those like Nick Foles type seasons where he has kind of a breakout year, but it's still not like elite caliber,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's just really, that's just a sad case, the sad state of it, because like I said, I think Baker's now in a awkward position where no matter where he goes, it's franchise tag. Like again, if he doesn't all of a sudden ball out 2 years in a row and say, hey, look, I got the numbers to say I'm a top 5 quarterback, and he's gonna be in a weird situation. But speaking of weird situations, let's move on to Matt Ryan because the Falcons have been fielding calls the last couple of days about Matt Ryan. In case you guys don't know, he has a 7.5 roster bonus, $1 million roster bonus that the Falcons are supposed to give him, right? Now, Matt Ryan, and I'm not a Matt Ryan fan, but God bless his heart. Bless him. The guy literally said, hey, hold on to it for now because you guys want to figure out what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. He waited. He said, you know what? I have no problem. Hold on to it. The whole Deshaun Watson thing that fell through. And then they said, we need your permission to hold it off a little longer because we want to try to trade you. Guess what the guy said? No problem. I am not a fan of him at all. I think I do think he's a good quarterback that everyone was hoping he'd be great. But bless his heart, this dude is just bless his heart. I don't know any other quarterback who would have done that. I mean, maybe Tom, maybe. But even then, I don't know, because he probably would have been like, just get me out here anyway or whatever. I don't know. But so was actually saying, oh, yeah, do whatever you need to do. He's been doing it. The Falcons have until 4:00 to get rid of him. If they don't, then he gets the $7.5 million roster bonus. So, Lennon, what do you think happens with Matt Ryan? Is he traded by 4:00, or does he remain an Atlanta Falcon?
I honestly could see him getting traded out of Atlanta, and I could see Detroit being a good trade partner for them. Maybe they could somehow work out a deal where maybe the Lions give up their first round draft pick and Jared Goff, and they bring in Matt Ryan and maybe a fourth or a fifth next year. That way they can have some draft capital to maybe get a late round quarterback who not that many people are looking at, and they can bring in and have him learn from Matt Ryan for a couple years before he retires.
Okay. I don't, just the way I personally see this whole thing playing out, I think right now, I don't know if anybody will do it. I don't think so. I just think right now it's a little too late. You know what I mean? I think had they started doing this last week, I think we have a completely different conversation. I think if they started fielding trade calls last week for him, instead of just putting all their eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket, I think maybe they would have been able to move him. But I just think, again, they've been doing it. They've been trying to make calls the last 2 days, and it never worked out. And I could be wrong, because with our luck, as soon as we get off, Matt Ryan is going to get traded to the Niners, or he's going to get traded to Seattle or something, right? Yeah. So that's a possibility. I think he's getting paid. I think he's getting 7.5 on the Atlanta Falcons, and he's going to, end up doing this thing. Frankie says the Falcons wouldn't want to be under pressure. Wouldn't want to be under pressure getting a quarterback unless they go for Jimmy or Baker. True, but right here's the sad part about it. Right here, the absolute sad part about it. Whoever goes to the Falcons, their stats are plummeting, and they will look like they're garbage.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's just, at this point, let's be honest, who do you have on your roster? Kyle Pitts is going to get double hell, maybe even triple team. I'm calling this right now. If there are no other wide receivers, just Kyle Pitts, there will be no safety help. There will be zero safety help. This kid will get triple team because you're going to afford to do it. You're going to afford to do it when you literally only have one threat.
I would say Cordero Patterson is somewhat of a threat, but that's just more of the kickoff returns and stuff.
Right.
But I did read something about Kyle Pitts last night. I think it was something like he's not scored a touchdown outside of London. Like in the States, like he's not scored a single touchdown.
Yep.
And that shows how much pressure they're giving him first thing his rookie year.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part. Kid's a rookie. He's a rookie, and they're putting a lot on him. Damon says trading Goff away from Matt Ryan will be a horrible move and a total downgrade. That makes no sense at all to make a move like that. Well, here's the thing: when it comes to Detroit, bless her heart. I mean, any move they make is a horrible move. Let's just be honest. Like, there's nothing Atlanta can, or not. Well, even Atlanta too. Let's just throw them in there too. There's nothing either team can do that would really kind of change their life in the immediate future. There's not really much they can do. You know what I mean? Atlanta, what do you have to sell? You don't really have. You don't have much. You just got a quarterback that's past his prime and on the decline. Again, like everybody. So there's that, and then Detroit is Detroit. So
yeah.
Frankie says if Goff gets traded again, he'll be put in the trash QB conversation. No. Now, Lennon, maybe it's just me. I like Jared Goff. Now, I don't think he's elite. I don't think he's a top tier quarterback, but I do think if you put him in a solid system, I think he can give you production. We've seen him do it. So it's like I don't understand where all this anti-Jared Goff slander comes from, because everyone says, "Oh, look what he's doing in Detroit." Lennon, am I bugging? You put anybody else in Detroit, you might be getting the same thing.
No, you are absolutely right. If you put anybody else in Detroit, they're getting the same thing. I think it's mainly like you said. He needs a good coach. He needs someone that can help build him into being the best quarterback that he can be. I mean, like Sean McVay took him to a Super Bowl. Yes, they had to go against Brady, which is going to be tough during the Super Bowl. But still, I mean, people seem to forget that Goff was in the Super Bowl. I mean, they almost beat Brady. I mean, I just feel like just giving a little bit more time, he'll be one of the not top 10, but maybe top 15 quarterbacks in the league.
Right. And I think that's the same. Like I said, I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he's average. And I don't know. A lot of people are saying he's like Drew Lock or Tim Tebow, and it's like, speaking of Tim Tebow, hold on, hold on, whoa, I almost let you get away with something, Lennon. Hold on. You had a very controversial take over the weekend.
Oh no, not this.
You had a very controversial take. So I would like you to repeat it, because Lennon, our relationship was tested over the weekend. Our relationship was tested. I was like, you know what? Because listen, Lennon. Everyone told me the same thing about there. Everyone was saying something about this Lennon dude. This dude puts out articles like crazy, and I was like, really? I was like, huh. And then you weren't really in the chat, but you would come on and say, hey guys, look, I'm gonna be gone for a little bit. This third. I'm not leaving. I'm just not gonna be on my phone. You would give us a heads up, right? So I'm like, huh. I wonder if one day. And then lately you've been talking more, right? And I'm like, all right, Lennon. Then you said something I had to hone in on. Lennon, you had a very controversial take about one Justin Herbert. The floor is yours.
Let me first go on record by saying I may have been bullshitting a little bit, but I said that Justin Herbert is a overhyped Tim Tebow. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Justin Herbert is a good quarterback, but I feel like for the way they perceive him, I feel like he's a bit overrated. Like, he's a top 10 quarterback, but he's not like top 5 like people are saying. I mean, he's had a good season last year, but I just feel like it's more unproven capabilities than not actually being a good quarterback.
I wish you would have said it that way, because, mind you, I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something. I didn't have my phone on me. I just picked up my phone and I looked at the screen and I just saw Justin Herbert is an overhyped Tim Tebow. And like, I was like, all right, hold on, time out. And then I said, Lennon, what did he do to you? Like, did he break up with your aunt? And then you hit me with the line of like, no, but he did promise to call her and he didn't. So,
I don't know, man. She was pretty upset, man.
Look, I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this because this is a conversation I definitely want to have when we have more people here. I do think he's a top 10 quarterback. I really do. I do not know where you get that he's been overhyped, because I haven't heard anyone call him a top 5 quarterback. Now, if you've heard anyone say that, send them my way and I'll have a conversation with them. But I don't know. I haven't seen anyone call him that. Now, who's really overrated is Joe Burrow. That's a dude I've heard people saying, oh yeah, he's top 5. And I'm like, all right, relax. You see what I'm saying? Relax. Kids not top 5. Top 10, yes. Not top 5.
Yeah, definitely top 10. I feel like it's more he had that one season heading to the Super Bowl, but I mean, all in all, it's like Herbert. They're both unproven. I mean, given a few more years, we'll see if they're top 5, top 10. But as long as there's players like Brady, Rodgers, um, Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be there for a good minute, there's always going to be someone that's going to try to top them. And I think Burrow might have more of a chance to get top 5, especially with the way they've been building their offensive line the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to give him a lot more time for like Jamar Chase and the receivers to create separation and able to rack up like 10, 15 yards per play.
This is just me being biased, but I believe this wholeheartedly. In 3 years, Mac Jones will win an MVP.
Yeah. Big facts.
In 3 years, Michael McCorkle Jones is gonna be just laughing at everybody, bro. March Madness, bro. Buck wild, son. So we are in the Sweet 16. Number 1, Gonzaga is going to take on Arkansas. Texas Tech plays Duke. North Carolina plays UCLA. Purdue plays St. Peter's. Arizona is playing Houston. Michigan is playing Villanova. Kansas against Providence. And Iowa State versus Miami. Crazy Sweet 16. It's crazy.
It definitely is.
And I will say this. Hold on real quick because somebody wants to say. Burrow went to the Super Bowl, had 2 good years in the league. Can you need a quarterback that's ever done that in the league? Okay, so may I, Lennon? May I? Because I love it when people tell me this. I seriously do love it when people tell me this. Because if this is your thing, like, so in his second year he made a Super Bowl, and you're saying who else has done that? If that is the standard that needs to be set, then a lot of other guys are scrubs. That's one. 2, Joe Burrow didn't even play half a season last year. So don't hit me with all this nonsense talking about, oh, he had 2 good years. No. Why do you think everyone's calling this his true rookie year? Because the kid got hurt.
Yeah.
It was like in November. I remember it was against the Washington football team. It was like in November where he destroyed his knee.
Yeah, it was like mid-November. But on that note, I will say this. I can think of 2 quarterbacks that have gone to the Super Bowl in their first 2 years, right off the bat. Kurt Warner and Tom Brady. Because Kurt Warner was drafted, I think, like 99, and he went in 2000.
Yeah.
And then Brady drafted 2000, went 2001.
Like, it just, I don't know, man. For me, it just doesn't. I never understood this casual take. I've never understood it. I've never understood that casual take.
Me neither.
Like, I understand he went to the Super Bowl. Don't get it twisted. But, and by the way, I mean this wholeheartedly. You put Kirk Cousins in that offense, they're still making the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And not to mention, it doesn't help Joe Burrow's case that, Cam Newton's been to the Super Bowl. So, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. Does that mean he's still nice now?
No.
No. People got to do better.
Oh, yeah.
People got to do better, man. My head hurts, man. I say all the time, bro. We can't be letting people talk basketball who don't know what they're talking about, bro. Can't do it. So, here was the scores for March Madness yesterday from the whole NCAA tourney. Houston beat Illinois. I wish Rob was here. I'd be talking so much shit about Illinois. 68-53. Villanova outlasted Ohio State 71-61. Duke edged out Michigan State 85-76. Iowa State handled business against Wisconsin in a kind of contested game. 54-49. Texas Tech beat Notre Dame 59-53. Miami, Florida outlasted Auburn 79-61. Purdue had a double-digit win over Texas 81-71. And Arizona survived a close one against TCU 85-80. So, Lennon, we'll talk about the Duke one in a minute. Just put that one off to the side. Outside of the Duke one, is there any upsets, so to speak, that kind of got you taken aback a little bit?
I will say I'm drawing a blank on the school's name, but it was the 15th seed that's still in. What was it?
So the 15th seed?
It was either 15th or 13th. I know it was like a low seed.
Yeah, the 15th seed. St. Peter's. Yep.
Yeah, St. Peter's. Honestly, I never had them lasting this long. Like, I had them getting eliminated like first round. We weren't even going to think about it. And now we're talking about them possibly going on to face Duke in the Elite Eight.
Yep. And it's crazy too, because to your point, St. Peter's, who they beat last week on Saturday, they beat Murray State. I had Murray State in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then St. Peter ended up winning 70-60.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's it's wild to me, dog. It really is. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in the TCU game, the TCU Arizona game, that was a pretty good one. I think wasn't it like a dunk that got called back that ended up costing them the game, or something like that?
I think this was the game that they got called back, and it was labeled as extremely controversial. I think it was a TCU game. Frankie said Baylor's upset got me like, look, Baylor using to UNC blew my mind. 100% blew my mind. I don't know a single soul who said they saw it coming. The only people who say they saw it coming are liars who want to pretend that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, that's the beauty of March Madness, man. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep, it's wild, dude. 100%, it is wild. All right, another one. So another one that kind of blew my mind a little bit: Miami, Florida over Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Only because maybe it's just me, but Auburn. I had high expectations for them. Even though they won, Gonzaga basically outlasting Memphis 82-78. Maybe it's just me. It makes me feel like Gonzaga's extremely vulnerable. We had this conversation last week. Everyone on the panel was saying that Gonzaga is like they're not going to win it, and I was like, maybe I'll give them a chance. After this Memphis performance, I'm not impressed, like in the slightest. So, what's up, Dustin? How are you?
Oh, just recovering from my bracket getting torn to shit this weekend.
And that's how it usually goes.
Lost two of my Final Four teams this weekend. So yeah.
Who's your Final Four teams?
Murray State and Auburn.
Ooh.
Yep.
I had UNC, Gonzaga, or no, not UNC, UCLA, Gonzaga, Duke, and I want to say Kentucky.
And I had Tennessee in the Elite Eight too. So yeah, they took a crap on me also.
What a time to be alive. All right, so before we move on, these are the teams that's left. We're going to do winners and losers. Gonzaga, Arkansas. Lennon, I'm going to start with you. Who you got winning?
I'm going to say Arkansas gets the upset win. I feel like Gonzaga, like you said, they showed a lot of flaws last night. And I feel like that's going to translate into next week where I don't think they're going to be able to get into rhythm, at least second half wise. Like maybe first half enough to keep the game close, but I feel like it's going to get further and further away from them till it's pretty much too late and there's nothing they can do.
Dustin, who you got?
I mean, neither team has played well since the tournament started. But I'm just going to go with Gonzaga on the sole basis that they just have more talent. And I don't think Arkansas has anybody that can match up with Drew Timme or Chet Holmgren for the full 40 minutes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Arkansas only because I don't like what I've seen from Gonzaga. I like Chet Holmgren, but one thing I'm not liking is just the fact that his frame is so narrow that he's got guards posting him up and backing him down, and I don't like that. I think Arkansas is going to utilize that, get their bigs more involved, to make Chet basically focus more on defense to the point where now Timme has to kind of carry the offense. Can he do it? Perhaps. We've seen games when he's done it, but he's not a dude that can carry it the whole game. You know what I mean? Like he's the type of dude that like he'll give you like 3 quarters, but then it's too taxing on him. So I think that's what it's gonna come down to. So I got Arkansas. Texas Tech versus Duke. And again, Lennon, we're gonna get to the whole Duke thing in a minute. But in terms of this game, who you got winning, Duke or Texas Tech?
I think Duke, just because I'm pretty sure they're going to do anything they can to make sure that Coach K has that final title.
Okay. Dustin, you agree?
Yeah, I said that from when the tournament started that I thought Duke was going to find a way to get it done for Coach K, and they look like the team that won 13 games in a row in the middle of the season right now. They look better on offense than they did in the ACC tournament. Defensively, they had moments against Michigan State where they struggled, but for the most part, if you take away the 3-point shot, they played very well against Michigan State, and that's kind of the thing that was their downfall the final 2 weeks of the season was just their overall defense.
I'm going Texas Tech. I just think eventually you punch Duke in the mouth hard enough and then they're gonna fall. I think all the pressure is starting to get to them, which is kind of why we saw them look a little bit scattered against Michigan State. They got the win, hats off to them, but there were moments where it wasn't looking good. There were times where it's kind of was like, especially more on defense, that kind of made me go, and I kind of tilt my head back a little bit. So I think against Texas Tech, I think this is when I just think this is when it all comes to an end. North Carolina, UCLA. Lennon, who you got?
I have UCLA winning it. I feel like on that side of the bracket with there's pretty much all the powerhouses gone. UCLA's the only one left. And pretty much all they have to do is go through North Carolina. And as long as they keep the momentum going, I could see them making a Final Four appearance, maybe even a national title again.
Dustin?
I'm going with North Carolina, and you can argue that North Carolina's looked the best of any team in the tournament right now through 2 games. Absolutely dismantled Marquette by 32 points. And, I mean, I didn't expect Marquette to win, but I thought they would put up a fight. They absolutely were dismantling Baylor for 30 of the first 40 minutes until Baylor got on their run. But then in overtime, North Carolina shut them down again. So right now, North Carolina, to me, might even be the team that comes out of that side of the bracket just by the way they're playing right now.
110%. Oh, that and I'm going with excuse me. I'm going with North Carolina. I just, if you ask me right now, who is the best, who's been playing the best, it's North Carolina, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's, in my opinion, it's not even close. It's like they're up here, and then everyone else is kind of desperately fighting for second. And again, the distance between, like the gap between 2 and 1 is vast. North Carolina has been playing great. They've been playing smart, gritty.
And you have to consider too that one guy got thrown out in that North
Right.
Carolina game on Saturday.
And they just had somebody else suffer.
If he doesn't get thrown out, they win that game by 20+ points.
I believe it wholeheartedly.
I feel like I was really surprised with how they've progressed since Roy left. I felt like there would probably be there'd be like a little small gap where they're trying to figure out like what they need to work on.
Yeah.
But they've definitely impressed me with the way they played.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And like I said, I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that, these guys are just without a shadow of a doubt they're playing the best. So yeah, honestly, well, I can't even say that now because it's kind of too late because with the knowledge I have now, them making the Final Four is very, very, like, the chances are very great.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, fuck my bracket. Purdue, St. Peter's, Lennon, who you got?
I got St. Peter's moving on. I feel like they're going to make a deep bracket run. I'd say the highest I could see them going is Final Four, but I'd honestly see them getting eliminated next round.
Dustin?
I'm going with Purdue. I don't think Purdue overlooks St. Peter's like Kentucky did. I don't think Purdue overlooks St. Peter's like Murray State did. Just the physicality of Purdue, I think, is going to be way too much for St. Peter's. I mean, Kentucky's one thing, but the Big Ten is physical basketball. And if you've ever watched the Big Ten compared to other conferences, their games are 60-50 for a reason because they just play physical, like, I don't care if I score kind of basketball.
Yep. I'm going Purdue. I think St. Peter's has they kind of have a thing where it's like, oh yeah, they're not that good. You're now coming off of 2 wins, impressive wins. I think this is the part where people start taking you serious. I've always said this. Nobody takes the tournament serious until the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16 is when people take it serious.
Yeah.
And if you make it there, that's when all of a sudden you feel the mood change. You feel the energy shift. You feel the difference. There's a difference between 64 and 32. There's a difference between 32 and 16. Once you get to 16, that's when people take it. That's
when you can taste the Final Four. Exactly. You're like there.
Right. Like this is the real tournament. I don't care what anybody, because a lot of people says, "Oh yeah, you watch your own march." No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Who cares about 64? 32? All right, cool, whatever. 16 is when it gets real interesting, because that's when you're like, okay, now these are basically who got it. Like, these are the guys who has a chance. So I just think St. Peter's, again, 2 nice wins, very impressive, but now the expectations are there. And now when you have to meet up those expectations on top of a Purdue team, to Dustin's point, who is very, very physical. They play a very physical brand of basketball. I don't think St. Peter's can. I don't think they could withstand it.
I agree. Like, the main reason why I watch it is just because of the Sweet 16 and on. Because, like you said, the pressure's on.
Yes.
Like, round of 64, round of 32, most people are looking at who can get the upset win and try to mess up the bracket as chaotic as possible. And I feel like we don't get as good matchups as we do, like, especially like towards Sweet 16. Because, like you guys said, it's people like you're starting to smell the Final Four.
Yep.
So it's more of the head-to-head games, like getting to see like overtime, like getting to see shootouts, all that. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it'll be probably one of the best that we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yep, 100%. All right, so we have 4 more. Arizona, Houston, Lennon, who you got?
This is actually the toughest one. But I'm going to say Houston moves on. But I feel like it'd be like
maybe like 3-4 points, like a really close game.
Dustin, you agree?
I picked Arizona to go to the national championship game, so that's the main reason why I'm going to stick with them. I know they didn't look great against TCU, but I'm not going to kind of go back on my pick at this point. I made the pick. It's in ink. I got to stick with it.
You got to commit. For me, and I picked Arizona. I picked Arizona, and I'm like Dustin. I'm rolling with it. However, if I'm Arizona, Houston scares the dog shit out of me. They scare the mess out of me. I would rather play Villanova right now than Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's controversial.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a hot take. I don't know. But I would rather have the second seeded Villanova over Houston. I think they're the fifth seed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the fifth seed. I would rather take Villanova than Houston. Again, I'm going Arizona because, again, to Dustin's point, got to be consistent, but Houston scares the dog shit out of me. So, only reason I'm going Arizona is because I have to commit. Speaking of Villanova plays Michigan. Lennon, who you got?
I'm going to say Villanova. I feel like they're a dominant team. I mean, not as well as they have the last few years, but I feel like they can do enough to pull out the victory over Michigan.
Dustin, you agree?
I'm actually going to go with Michigan. Main reason why I'm going with Michigan is I never felt that they deserved to be in the tournament to begin with, just because they were 17-14 and somehow got an 11 seed out of it. And then they go and dismantle Colorado State. They pull up the upset against Tennessee. And I think it's basically the Juwan Howard's team basically saying F you to the committee that we were better than an 11 seed. And I think they're just going to ride that high for another round.
Think so? This one's tough. I'm gonna go Villanova. I do like Villanova. I think they're talented. I understand what you're saying, Dustin, about them riding the Michigan, kind of riding that whole thing. Like, oh yeah, we should. I get that, but at the way I'm looking at this game, maybe it's just me, but from a talent perspective, I like Michigan. But it's not on Villanova's level, unfortunately. And I think in some cases, I think where the emotions can really come into it and to play is when either the better team is facing it, or B, the talent is so close that the emotion could be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is really not an instant in like this. You know what I mean? Like, if it's an instant where the better team is facing the emotion, then I look at Duke, right? The Coach K being out and no one wants to let him down. That's kind of the better team having to deal with the emotion, right? And let's say two close teams. I'll just say Arizona and Houston, right? You know what I mean? Arizona always feels like, they felt disrespected. They felt like no one ever really treated us like a 1 seed. You're just giving this as a formality. And Houston believes that they're the number 1 seed, right? So it's kind of both emotions going there. So, when you're kind of close, the emotion will kind of, decide it. I think in this instant, it's just me. I think it's going to be Villanova. And I got Villanova by like 15. Like, I think it'll be close to the first half, but the second half, I think Villanova's taking off the second half, and it's just going to be ridiculous.
I can see that.
Yeah. Next game, Kansas, Providence. Lennon, who you got?
I say Kansas rolls away with this one. I feel like it's probably going to be a blowout win, maybe like 15, 20 points. I feel like Kansas is how do I put it? They're overall, it's balanced,
Yeah.
Offense and defense. I feel like they're one of the best of the remaining teams in the tournament. So I feel like they can pretty much. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot talk today.
Yeah, you're good.
I feel like once they get the momentum started, there's no stopping them.
Dustin, who you got?
I mean, Kansas did not look great against Creighton, and in my opinion, they're lucky to have survived Creighton in that game. But
I'm really lucky.
at the same time, when the brackets came out, I said Kansas had the toughest road to get to the Final Four. And now, after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, they probably have the easiest road to get to the Final Four. So because of that, I'm going to go on Kansas now, just because I think outside of Providence, the bottom half of that bracket is so much easier than the bottom half of the rest of the brackets that you get through Providence, they could have a 15 to 20 point Elite Eight win and just kind of coast into the Final Four.
Yep, 100%. I'm with you, Dustin. I think Kansas win. However, I will say this: I think Providence makes them earn it.
Oh yeah, I think Providence makes them earn it like Creighton did, but after this, I think they have an easier road on
100%.
Saturday or Sunday.
If they win this, they're in the Final Four. 110%. I think if they win, I'll be honest. Whoever wins, either Kansas or Providence, no matter who wins, they're in the Final Four. Because the bottom bracket, we'll talk about it next. But no, but I got Kansas. I think Providence makes them earn it. I think it's a 2-point win. Like, no matter who wins, I think it's a 2-point win. I'm gonna go Kansas. But I think we're all in agreement. Whoever wins this one is in the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
But the final game, the bottom bracket, Iowa State, Miami. Lennon, who you got?
I'm going to say Iowa State in an overtime win.
Ooh, okay. Dustin, who you got?
Did you watch the Iowa State game yesterday, by the way?
You said the Iowa State one?
No, did you watch that Iowa State game yesterday?
I caught some of it.
I've seen high school teams play better than those two teams played.
Damn.
It was 54-48. I've seen high school teams play better than that.
I didn't think it was that bad. Well, maybe it was just when I tuned in.
But I'm going with Miami because I'm putting them in the same category that I'm putting North Carolina in. There was nobody that saw Miami beating Auburn as easily as they beat Auburn. And then you had Miami. I'm not going to say they handled USC, but they did outplay USC. The score was a lot closer than what it should have been. But Miami was winning the ACC up until the final 2 weeks of the season. So Miami's had a very solid team that's been overlooked all year, and I just think they're playing better than a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament right now, and they showed that against Auburn, who a lot of people did have in the Final Four. So I'm going to go with Miami.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go Iowa. For me, this is a tough one because I really do think it's gonna be close. I think both teams are gonna come out. I think both teams are gonna play, and it's gonna be to a point where people are gonna look at this and go, "Huh, maybe whoever wins Kansas, Providence, they'll have some competition." I think it's gonna be one of those games. But then obviously they're just sacrificial lamb. I'm going Iowa State, and even though I this is just me, Miami beating Auburn, my fear is that they're gonna think, "Oh yeah, we've arrived," and then once you start having that mentality, especially when you don't have the talent to back it up, you got a flaming hot L just waiting around the corner. So
the funny thing is though, everyone was saying like how down the ACC was this year, and they could almost have 50% of the Elite Eight. So you can say all you want that the ACC had a down year, but when come tournament time, the ACC actually has the best record in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to say because what teams are left that are in the ACC? UNC, Duke, Miami.
Those three can get into the Elite Eight, and then the Big Ten's got Purdue and Michigan left.
Yeah.
Big 12's got Texas Tech and Kansas, and then you have Gonzaga in the WCC, and then UCLA and Arizona from the Pac-12. So the ACC has the most remaining teams, and all three teams legitimately have a shot to advance to the Elite Eight.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely do. I would say, if anything, maybe UNC has a chance at losing to UCLA, but the rest, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how right now this Sweet 16, how kind of evenly spread a lot of these things are. Like you said, Dustin, each of these guys do have somewhat of a legitimate chance of making it to the Elite Eight. And we said it before. Any one of these, I've been telling people this all the time. Any one of these teams make the Elite Eight, and all of a sudden your name just looks different.
Well, if you look at the 16 teams left, take out St. Peter's, take out St. Peter's, take out Miami, and take out Michigan. The other 13 teams have been ranked in the top 10 at one point this year.
Yep.
So it shouldn't surprise you at all that the 16 teams that are left because 13 of those teams were top 10 teams at one point. Purdue was ranked number 2 in the country at one point. So all these teams have been in the top 10 at one point. Granted, they didn't finish where they were at one point, but they all were in the top 10 for a reason at one point this season.
Yep. And then at the same time, you say that, and then you're like, yep, they're top 10. You gotta take that into consideration until you realize Miami, beat somebody who was in the top 10 in Auburn. So it's kind of like,
well, Miami was top 10 early in the year though too. They were 9th because they were winning. They were 13 and 14-1 at one point.
Yeah, listen, they were 9th, but Auburn was 1.
Yeah.
So fuck them. St. Petersburg over Murray State.
Pissed me off.
Dude, I was so tight. I was real life triggered. I actually watched it. And I was like, bullshit. I walked away from my Lennon. I was shaking my head. I was like, I hate my life. My girl was like, why are you mad? I was like, Murray State lost. She was like, that's your team? I was like, no. She's like, so why are you so mad? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, you just don't understand. It's like, what? And I think this happens. I'm convinced this happens for everyone. There's that point. There's always that team that's not your team during March Madness that you just leech on for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it is. You don't know why. You just leech on them for some reason. Murray State was my team. And I think I leeched on too hard. I think I took all their life. Before we move on from March Madness, we all been talking about how this is Coach K's final year. Lennon, you made it a point that you believe that Duke would end up winning the whole tournament because of, Coach K's final season.
Me too.
You too. Wow.
So that's why I picked him in my bracket to do that, just because of that reason.
Explain yourselves.
I have another reason. I'll let Lennon go first, though.
Go ahead, Lennon.
I just feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like Coach K, he deserves at least one more national title. I mean, as much as I hate Duke, I feel like he needs to go out on top because he's one of the best. He's one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. And anything other than a national championship would be a complete bust for Duke University being the way they are.
Okay. Let's see. Dustin, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you look at 4 years ago when he had Zion, Cam, and RJ. And the fact that he took the ball out of Zion's hand in the final 3 minutes when Michigan State had no answers to Zion. I think that kind of still sits with Coach K as kind of the championship that got away. And he kind of wants to go out and show, like, hey, this might not be as talented of a team as I had back then, but I'm just going to put together a better coaching job this time around to get these guys to win. But what is ultimately the ultimate X factor that we always talk about?
What?
I have a feeling the officials are going to have some say in getting Coach K to the national title game.
Mm-hmm.
I just do.
You really think
you see it all the time. Officials can determine the outcome of the game with one missed call, and I think if it comes down to it, whether it's the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, if it's like a 1 or a 2 point game and there's a toss-up call, I'm not going to be surprised to see Duke get those toss-up calls to try to get it done because everyone wants to see somebody go on top to end their career, and when it's Coach K, they want him to go out on top if they can do it.
Really, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think because I've heard people say that. I don't think the conspiracy will go down. Because here's my thing, and this is just me. I think with Coach K retiring, you have a storyline for this year and next year. So this year, let's say they lose, right? They lose. You got a storyline next year. It's the revenge season. All the players, they're gonna do it. John Shire, he learned under Coach K. So this is Coach K 2.0, and they will win for Coach K. Like, I think that's kind of the storyline they could easily push, right? Here's my thing. You said it, Dustin. This team is not as talented. And when it comes, especially to the Elite Eight, not only do you need talent, but you also need something else, grit. And every single time Duke has needed to be gritty, you don't really see it that much.
Except for when they beat Gonzaga.
That's really the only time. That was really the only time that the grit was called, and they gave it to you. Outside of that win over Gonzaga, it's been they get punched in the mouth, and they're like, "Oh, okay, sorry," and it's like, I don't know. I think you couple that with the fact that there are stretches where they play scared, and what I mean by that is they'll go and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to miss this shot because I don't want to be the reason we lose this game."
Yep.
So then they start playing very tentative, and then it gets Coach K to yell at them to be like, "Hey, yo, get your shit together. Like, what are you doing? Get it together. Like, I'm just asking you guys to go out there and hoop. That's it. You guys only have one job to do for however long this game lasts, whether it's normal, whether it's double, triple, quadruple, overtime, doesn't matter. You have one job, and that's to go play basketball. That is your job." So, and I just think him constantly have to tell them over and over and over again. I think eventually he's going to get to a point where he's just like, I can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys are going to play tentative, then you guys got to play tentative. And at some point, like you were saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I think the kid, these guys, we got to remember they're kids. They're kids. We got to remember that. Like Coach K, this pressure is nothing to him, right? This means nothing to Coach K. But that's not the thing. It's not Coach K that has to deal with the pressure. It's these kids that when you're in the Sweet 16, that's pressure in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now stack that on top of an all-time great collegiate coach who's in his final season. Let that sink in. Let this sink in. Remember when Chris Webber called the timeout and they didn't have any? And remember how bad people. Imagine if he had done that, and he had done that this year. Imagine if he does that. Imagine if he makes a mistake like that this year. Imagine. That would kill him, bro. That would kill, and you see it written all over these kids' faces. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to be the reason Coach K takes the L. And frankly, if you notice, and Dustin, you would notice this. You definitely know what I'm about to be talking about. And Lena, I think you might know it too. Earlier in the season, Duke was playing more free flow. It's like they were loose, they were relaxed. They Coach K would tell them what to do, and it was just so effortless.
Because that came off of that Gonzaga win.
Right.
After they beat Gonzaga, this is who we can be, and then they got on that 12-game winning streak, and then Miami beats them at home, and then after that you can kind of see them play tight for a little bit, and then they picked up a big win on the road against somebody else, and then they carried that for another month, and then they got hit in the mouth again towards the end of the year.
Exactly. So it's like, with all that, I don't know, man. I don't think Duke's winning. I don't think so. And like I said, I picked Texas Tech, and I just think it's a situation where I think it catches up to them. They don't want it to, but I think it's a situation where you can try for as much as you want, but when you need to be gritty and you guys play passively, I think that right there is what's going to end up killing them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a crucial turnover or anything like that. I just think there's going to be a stretch where they're just playing too tentatively, and Texas Tech goes on a run. And all of a sudden, they look up at the scoreboard, they're down double digits, and go, well, it's been a good one. That's just me.
I agree with everything except for the one thing, which I don't know if you noticed it yesterday, how you were saying that a lot of times when Duke loses, they don't show that grit.
Yeah.
That grit came back yesterday. Because Michigan State went on that big run to take a 7-point lead in the second half. And Duke, the old Duke would have been like, oh, crap, we're done. So what does Duke do? They just go on a 12-0 run and take a 5-point lead, and then Michigan State couldn't come back. So Duke got that grit back, knowing that, hey, we may have just gotten hit in the mouth, but we still have more talent than Michigan State, so let's use it.
It could be. Could be. Like I said, me personally, I don't know, man. I don't see it. I just don't. I just think the pressure's gonna be too much.
Yeah.
That's just me. Dustin, don't hit me. Lennon, don't yell at me. Just relax, breathe.
I wanted to hit you on Friday when you said Cal State Fullerton was going to beat them.
Is that what?
I said I wanted to hit you on Friday when you told me that Cal State Fullerton was going to beat him on Friday, because then I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, now watch, Cal State Fullerton's going to win, and I'm going to have to come after Pride.
Oh, man. But we got more to talk about. We got some basketball talk and Major League Baseball talk. But before that, let's take a quick break.
Get ready. This summer, the Arena League Sports is on ASAP Network. Tune in live on either the Tiki Live or Roku app, as well as your smart home TV.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So before we get into anything else, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Nurkic was deep in his feelings. So he's injured right now. And talking his talk, which, it's fine. As long as you're not saying anything personal, you just want to call a guy scrub, hey, hats off to you. And Nurkic approached him. He grabbed the guy's phone and he kind of just tossed it into the crowd. After he did that, he kind of walked away, oh yeah, I just did something. By the way, the kid that he threw this kid was a short, scrawny kid. Imagine Isaiah Thomas, and that's basically who he bullied. Lennon, do you think Nurkic needs to get suspended, or should he have any type of disciplinary action?
I mean, I don't see him getting a suspension for it. Just strictly on the fact that all he did was grab the guy's phone and throw it. Now, if he had put his hands on him, I feel like maybe they'd be looking more towards, let's give him at least a 1 or 2 game suspension. That way he knows, hey, I messed up. But I honestly just see maybe a $100,000 fine, something light, just in order to just show that they need to take better steps at handling trash talk.
Dustin,
I think he should be suspended, because hasn't the NBA made it a point where if you go in the crowd for any reason, you get suspended, whether you touch somebody or not? Yes, he took a phone and threw it, but it's still in the crowd and it's still off the court. And last time I checked, I think it is a minimum 3-game suspension anytime you go in the crowd. I think
so.
I could be wrong, but I think it's a minimum 3-game suspension. If that's the case, that's what he should get, because he did go in the crowd. Even though he didn't touch anybody, he still went off the court, went in the crowd out of his way to do something that wasn't needed to be done.
True. I mean, I will say this, at least it's not like it was last year where they had fans throwing stuff, like the fan that threw the water bottle at Kyrie Irving. Or I know there was an incident with either, I think, Russell Westbrook or Joel Embiid or someone like that. But either way, I agree. He definitely went out of line just to throw the phone.
I'm just real quick. I'm trying to find it because I'm curious to see whether or not it is. Excuse me. I'm really trying to see whether or not it really is. Rulebook. Whatever. We're just gonna say it's 3 games. Here's my thing. I think right now, in this situation, it's gonna be tricky because if they don't suspend him, the fans are gonna be upset because the fans are gonna say, "Hold on now, we're allowed to talk trash, and he came up to us. Imagine if we threw our phone at him, it's an issue, but he could snatch my phone and throw it." So then the fans are gonna get upset. But then at the same time, if you go at Nurkic, guess what? To Lennon's point, he's going to say, wait a minute, I didn't touch him. He was talking to me. He called my attention. So I think they're in a sticky situation. That being said, I'm 100% suspending him.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You almost have to. In my opinion, you almost have to. Because think about it. He snatched the dude's phone. And mind you, where he was not on his bench side. So he had to cross the court to go over to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had to cross the court, got his phone, and then chucked it. You almost now. I don't know about 3 games. I don't know about that.
I'm just saying whatever the minimum is. I just use 3 games as an example. Whatever the minimum is, that's what he should get.
Right. If it's just a game, then do a game. And it's not like it really matters because he's hurt anyway. They'll probably just activate him a game before, so that way he gets suspended and he doesn't miss anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If he does get suspended, are they going to wait until he's healthy to suspend him, or go ahead?
Well, yeah, the NBA, what they would do is they wait until you're active, so that way, like when the team says, "Oh yeah, he can play," and then when you're active and you're healthy, then they'll suspend you.
Okay.
Which is why I think the teams will be like, "Oh yeah, you're good now. We want you to come back Friday, but we have a game on Wednesday. All right, we'll activate you Tuesday night. You'll be suspended Wednesday, which doesn't matter. We weren't going to play you anyway. Serve your suspension. You got Thursday to rest. Friday, you're back on the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That way, if maybe it's like a team that they're not too worried about playoff wise, they can rest him. And then once, like, let's say they face like someone like Golden State or Chicago or someone like that, they can have him for those key games.
Yep. And again, it's just like I said, to me, it's hilarious because, these are the same guys who scream and say, "Oh my God, we need to be safe, this and the third and whatnot." They're saying the fans are dangerous, which at times they are. Let's not get it twisted. But to sit here and pretend like what you're doing isn't wrong, bro, I think that is I think that's hilarious. I really do. 110%. Now, I want some salt. I want some spice into this conversation. Lennon, who is your NBA MVP?
I'm going to say Luka. I feel like he's been balling out for the Mavericks. He's averaging about 26, 9, and I want to say 8 assists. I mean, he's quickly becoming one of the best point guards in the league in just a few years' time. I mean, this is the same kid that we saw in the Olympics at like 17 years old, playing in the USA team, playing like Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, all of them, and dominating them. I feel like the Mavericks' problem is just more the talent around him than what he's doing. He's pretty much doing everything he can to secure them a spot, but unfortunately, I don't think it'll be enough this year.
They're the 5th seed right now, right?
Yeah,
because they're like right below the Lakers. I'm pretty sure.
No, the Lakers are the 10th seed, bro.
Oh, I thought you said the Mavericks were the 10th seed.
No. The Lakers are the 10th seed. They're under. Don't tell me. Golden State. That's who they're under. No. Jazz. They're under Utah because I think it's Phoenix, Memphis, Grizzlies. It's
Phoenix.
Don't do drugs, kids. Do not do drugs.
It's Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Utah, Dallas, Denver.
Yes. Don't do
Oh,
drugs, kids.
damn.
Do not do drugs. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That was crazy. I'm gonna save my whole little rant for a few. So Lennon, you're throwing out Luka Doncic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin.
To quote a line from a movie, I'm going with Puddin'. And if you don't remember what that is, I'm going with the Joker. How can you not go with the Joker when you look at what he did last year, when you look at his numbers being better than what they were last year, this year? And there's really no argument anymore that he's the best center in the NBA.
Oh,
I know a lot of people want to give it to Joel Embiid, but no, it's the Joker. If he was not there, this Denver team would not even be in the playoff picture. They would be out of the play-in altogether. So he single-handedly is putting a team on his back and keeping them not only in the playoff hunt, but he's keeping them above that play-in line.
Yeah, I was trying to say because Jamal Murray hasn't came back yet, has he?
And neither has Michael Porter Jr.
No.
So Jokic is doing all of this without his two best players. Let that sink in. He's doing all this with his two best players. Let me just say one thing, because you said you had Dallas, correct? Or, I'm sorry, not Dallas. Luka Doncic, correct? I just want to make sure. So,
but I will say this: there is another player that, while I don't think he's going to win it, I feel like he should be in the conversation, and that's DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan, okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool. All right, hold on, let me, because this right here is the easiest one. Every time I have this conversation, this is basically the only thing. Hold on, the Chicago. Oh, hold on.
The Bulls are fading faster than the
1,
Sun right now.
2, 3. 3-game losing streak. Yeah.
They got swept out west.
Yeah. All right, so I was wondering. So Lennon, let's start with the Chicago Bulls. So you said DeMar DeRozan, right? Okay. This is what I do for every single time someone wants to mention MVP. All right. So for the Dallas Mavericks, do you know who leads them in points per game?
Do I?
Do you know who leads the Dallas Mavericks in points per game?
Luka.
Yeah, Luka.
Luka Doncic. Do you know who leads them in rebounds?
Luka.
Yeah. Do you know who leads them in assists?
Luka.
You know who leads them in steals?
Luka.
Do you know who leads them in blocks?
Luka.
No, not Luka.
Is it Maxi Kleber?
Yes. Okay. So 4 out of 5. That's impressive, right? And you're leading your team in 4 out of 5. That's impressive, right? Okay. So for DeMar DeRozan. Do you know who leads them in points?
DeRozan.
Okay. Do you know who leads them in rebounds?
Vucevic.
You know who leads them in assists?
Lonzo.
DeMar.
Oh, really?
Okay.
DeMar.
Believe it or not. And you want to know why I think that? I just think
Lonzo's out.
Yeah. I think that's what I just think it's just, his thing, because on a technicality they're tied, but when they
I guess that's why I would say Lonzo, because when Lonzo comes back, he's going to overtake DeRozan.
Oh, easily.
That's why I would just say Lonzo if they're tied, just because.
But I'm gonna be nice and give it to DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
Do you know who leads them in steals?
Caruso.
Nope, Vooch.
Ooh,
Believe it or not. Believe it or not.
Vooch.
Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Do you know who leads them in blocks?
It's not. Is it Vooch or is it not Vooch?
Vooch.
Okay.
So
I figured it was going to be him or Tristan Thompson. Now since Thompson's over there, I wasn't sure.
So DeMar DeRozan leads them in 2 out of the 5 categories. Okay, not 4, but it's impressive, right? Okay.
Yeah.
For the Denver Nuggets, do you know who leads them in points?
Joker.
Do you know who leads them in rebounds?
Joker.
Do you know who leads them in assists?
Joker.
Do you know who leads them in steals?
Joker.
Who leads them in blocks?
Joker.
If that's not your MVP, then we just got to give it to something. We just got to get rid of the word MVP. He is the only player in the NBA who is leading in every single category on his team. Never mind the fact that the plus minus when he's on the court is plus 63. When he's off the court, it's minus 80 something. You couple that with the fact that last year he won MVP, he's just getting better. I don't know, man. If it's not Jokic, if you don't got Jokic,
he won the MVP. He won the MVP leading 4 of the 5 categories last year.
Yes.
And now he's leading all 5 on his team. The only category that he did not lead last year was steals, and that went to Barton. I think that led the team in steals last year.
Yeah.
And
I think it was like really close too.
Yeah, it was like 2.4 to 2.2.
Jokic got mad. Now look at him. I don't know, man. And you do all that. Sorry. You do all that. Your team is having success. When your two best players are out, I don't know, man. I don't know how you can't give it to them. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. I don't know how you just can't give it to them. Final topic of the day. And celebration of MLB. That's around the corner. Teams have been throwing out fat stacks like crazy. God bless her. God bless their hearts, bro. I wish I was good at baseball. Dustin, let me start with you. Give me a couple players you think will have phenomenal breakout seasons this year.
I'm going to say Carlos Correa for starters, just because signing that 3-year deal is the best thing he could have ever done. And the reason for that is he can opt out after year 1.
Yes.
And the Twins are not a competitive team right now. He's going to a park where he can just mash 40 home runs this year, put up great offensive numbers, and then hit the open market again, and then sign for more than what he would have got this year. So he's definitely one that kind of banked on a short-term deal, knowing that if I go to Minnesota, I can leave if the team's not competitive. If they are competitive, I can stay here for 3 years and then leave this contract and still sign another long 6-7 year deal. There's an
opt-out in every single year, like year 1 and 2.
Yep.
And he's such a commodity that if they want to blow it up, they could trade him.
Yep.
And he still has control because after they trade him,
he's got those 2 opt-out years.
God bless him. Go ahead, Dustin.
I think Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs is a guy to watch just because he became the highest paid Japanese player in history.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they paid him that kind of money, because he was putting up better numbers than what Shohei was doing when Shohei was in Japan. I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Shohei, but a lot of people don't know that Suzuki can also throw 97, which nobody talks about. So maybe the Cubs need a pitcher down the road. Could they try to make Suzuki the right-handed version of Shohei and stick him on the mound once a week and put him in the outfield the other 4 days? I just think he's going to be more of a Hideki Matsui type of player, which you get Hideki Matsui for 5 years, you're going to be happy. And at $85 million, that's a bargain because Matsui was a great hitter. Let's see, another breakout player. I'm going to go with Matt Olson. I think getting Matt Olson out of Oakland, which is a pitcher's park, and knowing the numbers that he put up at Oakland, and now you're putting him in SunTrust Park, which is a more of a homer-friendly park, those numbers are going to go through the roof, and it's not going to be surprising at all to see Olson win an MVP with Atlanta.
MVP. Okay, I love it. I love it. Lennon, my guy, what you got?
I'm going to say I may be a little biased when I say this, but I'm going to say Clayton Kershaw.
I
mean, I feel like he's not been as productive as he has the last few years, but signing this 1-year deal to return to the Dodgers, I feel like he's going to be on a revenge trip to show that I'm still the dominant pitcher that I can be and still lead the Dodgers to at least one more World Series.
If his back holds up, I will agree.
Yeah, that's
been his big issue.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100.
And I have one other one. I'm going to say Matt Olson of the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, them getting rid of Freddy Freeman, I'll admit that they shouldn't have got rid of him like they did, but getting Matt Olson.
Especially if you heard his press conference after the fact.
Yeah, because I think I read a statement by him where he said he didn't even know about it.
Well, he told the Braves he would take less money to stay in Atlanta, and then 6 hours after they talked is when the trade happened, and they didn't even tell Freddie about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I feel like him coming on to a new team that he is, I feel like he's more primed to have a better year than Freddie. But overall, I think Freddie's better.
So I have 5. Matt Olson. Obviously, you put him with Atlanta. You combine that with the fact that he's basically now replacing Freddie Freeman. And on top of that, he's very talented. So, I think that's just a recipe for him to pop off. So that's one. Same thing, Carlos Correa. Like you said, Dustin, I expect him to belt 40, to bat like 310, snatch up a Gold Glove. You know what I mean? Do all that stuff so that we can opt out, go get a bigger contract, so that way he can be like, see, I'm 3 steps ahead. All yeah. So now here's the other 3 that I have. So first and foremost, number 1, Trevor Story.
I was gonna say you better be putting Trevor Story on your list.
What? Come on, bro. You know me. I'm biased as shit.
I'm not. The guy's going from hitting at Colorado to hitting at a field that's 310 down the freaking line.
Let's be honest, bro. Now, with all that upside, my only concern is the injuries.
Put him as a DH. Save him.
But that's the problem. You put him at DH, that means we got to put JD on the field. And JD is another injury-prone dude, which is why we put him at DH to begin with.
Put JD at DH 5 days a week. Put Trevor Story at DH 2 days a week.
So switch him off and off?
Basically have Stories play 3 games at short, and then put him at DH to give him basically a day off, and then you put him at short 2 more days, and then you give him another day off, basically.
Okay. I hope it works, man. Because Trevor Story, it could be a great pickup if the kids stay healthy. Because he can ball. I like him. I really do. He's got great eye. He's got decent power, great contact. He's got it all. He just can't stay on the field. Yeah. So I got Trevor Story. But the next one that I'm gonna have, what's his name again? The Asian guy you said,
Suzuki?
Huh?
Sia Suzuki?
Yeah, Suzuki. Yeah. I just think when you have that billing, and it's really for what you said. Everyone's built him up as the next potential Shohei Ohtani. He could throw 97 with accuracy.
He does that from right field on a daily basis.
Like, with accuracy, imagine if you just want to say, hey, look, we're going to give you the day off. But you know what? Let's try something. We're not going to start you. How do you feel about being a closer? How do you feel about being a reliever? How do you feel about that? Test it out. See what happens, because for all you know, let's say you put him in the starter slot and it doesn't work out. And all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, he could be like what's his name? Jesus Christ.
Chapman?
No. He was he's an older player. He was on the Cleveland Indians. And
Andrew Miller?
No, it was older. He helped blew the game that they ended up losing to. I think it was in the World Series. He played with what's this dude's name? Why am I drawing a blank?
Did he just play for Cleveland, or was it?
No, it was the 97 World Series.
Yes, I think it was the 97.
Hold on. I know who you're talking about too. He was a starter turned reliever, right?
Yes, he was starter turned reliever. He was a mediocre starter.
Jarrett Wright.
No. He was Hispanic. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Levon Hernandez was the pitcher. Oral Hershiser was there that year. Jose Mesa?
Yes, Mesa. Yes,
Okay.
That's who it was. Yes, him. I was like, Suzuki could be like him, where like if for some unknown reason you can't be a starter, we switch you to a reliever. Because I don't know, you probably remember this. As a starter, he was mediocre at best.
You're being kind by saying mediocre.
Very kind.
Yeah.
Very kind. I'm being very kind.
If I want to be kind, I am going to say below average to borderline terrible.
Awful. He was horrible. That's why I said at best he was mediocre at best. But then all of a sudden they brought him out of the bullpen and he found new life. All of a sudden he was an all-star caliber arm coming out of the bullpen, right? I think you can have that same option with Suzuki. I really do. I think if it doesn't work out, and again, worst case scenario, if the pitching don't work, like I said, you could throw him in the outfield, have him back. He's still.
And what people don't realize about Suzuki too, he takes more walks than he strikes out.
Yeah.
And he hits like a 320. He gives you 25 stolen bases, hits 35 plus homers, and he takes more walks than he strikes out.
His eyes are phenomenal, bro. He's got top tier eyes. And this is my last one. Freddy Freeman.
Oh yeah, I was debating doing it, but I'm just like, you really can't say he's gonna have a breakout year because everybody in the freaking Dodgers lineup you can say is gonna have a breakout year.
But here's the thing.
Oh, I got another one to add when you're done. Now that I thought about it.
I think he needs it the most out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why I'm really mentioning him. In my heart of hearts, I just think he kind of all of them, he needs to prove that you just got this deal. You need to prove that Atlanta made a big mistake, especially considering you said you would take less money.
Yeah.
And imagine if you leave Atlanta and Atlanta wins another ring before you do with a stat team in LA. Imagine. Go ahead, Dustin. Who was the other guy?
I'm actually going to put two together in the same category because they're on the same team. Kyle Schwarber and Nicholas Castellanos in Philadelphia when you're going to be hitting with Bryce Harper.
Oh, yeah.
Because your lineup is going to be Gene Segura leading off.
Yes.
JT Realmuto hitting second. Schwarber, Harper, Castellanos, and Rhys Hoskins 3 through 6.
Jesus Christ.
So anywhere you put it, any way you put it, any one of those guys is going to have a breakout year because as a pitcher, you're going to have to pick and choose who you face because you can't walk all three of them because eventually the bases are going to be loaded. If you walk Schwarber, you got Harper. If you want to walk Harper, you got Castellanos. If you want to walk him, you got Hoskins. So you're going to be fighting fire with fire basically the entire game with who do I pitch to and who don't I pitch to
be honest. I like that one.
And then you got Didi Gregorius at 7. And Didi Gregorius had a great year in Philadelphia last year with 23 homers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, and I think what's nice about putting Didi at 7th with Schwarber in front of him, with Rhys and Harper. I just think now it's like there's no pressure for him to hit home runs now.
And he'll probably hit more because of it.
To be honest, yeah, exactly. It's like now that he doesn't have to worry about hitting, all he needs to do is worry about making contact. All of a sudden, the contact comes easier. Next thing you know, he's belting him like 375 down left. You know what I mean? Like it's man.
I said this the other day. I would not be surprised to see Harper, Schwarber, and Castellanos hit nearly 200 homers combined. Those four. If they all hit around 40. Because Schwarber hit 36 last year, and he only had 14 in Boston, so he hit 24 of them in a pitcher's park. And now he's going to Philadelphia, which has a very short right field and can be a launching pad for him. Harper's Harper. Castellanos hit 30-plus homers in Cincinnati last year, so he's going to be going to a similar environment where the ball just flies out of there. Rhys Hoskins was hurt a lot last year and still hit 25 homers.
Imagine. Bless his heart. Before we wrap it up, sleeper teams this season, who you guys got?
For baseball or for anything?
Baseball. I got 3.
I got 3 too.
No, goodness. Who's your 3?
I'm going to be biased on my first one just because I can never say they're going to be bad. But I think the Cubs could be better than what people think they're going to be. I'm not going to say they're going to make the playoffs or anything, but I think they could be a lot better than what people think, especially with adding Suzuki. They added some under-the-radar pitching help that they're not ideal signings, but when you get a guy like Wade Miley as your number 3, that's not that bad of a number 3. Plus they added Steven Brault as an innings eater early in the season. They added some bullpen help like Michael Givens, David Robertson, who've all had great years in the bullpen. So they've added pieces, and they just got Drew Smyly. And Drew Smyly can be a very valuable number 5 for that team. So I think they'll be better than what people think.
Well,
I think Phillies are going to be better, obviously, because when you add Schwarber and Castellanos to that lineup, which would already had a great lineup, you don't need pitching anymore. I mean, obviously you still need pitching, but you don't have to rely on your pitching anymore because you're going to have an offense that's going to beat teams into submission. And then I think the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm not going to call them a sleeper, but that's my pick to win the World Series at this point. As good as that Toronto team finished last year, I think they went 48-23 over their final 71 games last year. And then you see the additions that they made to that team this year. Toronto, in my opinion, is the deepest team in the American League right now. And if they don't make the World Series, I think it'll be considered a disappointment.
Okay. Landon, you got any?
You may have to come back to me on that one. I'm still thinking of mine.
I got you. All right, so number 3, you got it. Philly. I think right now, like you said, offensively, you got it.
They're right there with the Dodgers as the best offensive team in the league.
110%. 110%. They are at worst a top 5 in terms of offense. Now it's time to make it work, right? So that's number 1. Or number 3. Number 2, Minnesota. I really do like Minnesota. You got Buxton. I always say his name wrong, but you got him and Carlos Correa, who, if I'm not mistaken, were the first 2 draft picks in the same draft class.
They might have been.
Fact
I
check
think they're in the top 5, but I don't know if they were the first 2.
Fact check me on it.
I will do that.
Yeah, because I really do like it. I like Minnesota top to bottom. I really do. I've always said this. I always felt like there were just two or three pieces away. I'd say like one bat.
I thought of another team. Dang it!
I'll let you. I promise I'll go back to you.
Yeah.
But I always thought there were one superstar bat, maybe even 2, and a pitcher away. You got the superstar bat.
But they lost Donaldson now.
Which again doesn't bother me, because with Donaldson, where were they going? They were mid at best. And on top of that, his last few years, he's been extremely injured, extremely inconsistent, to the point where it's like, him being gone, is that really a loss?
That 2012 draft class really was not that good.
It really wasn't.
I mean, you had Correa 1, Buxton 2.
Okay.
Mike Zanillo was 3.
Imagine.
Kevin Gausman was 4. It took him a while to get to where he is. Kyle Zimmer was 5. Albert Almora was 6. Mark Appel was 8. Andrew Haney was 9. David Dahl was 10.
Lucas Giolito was 16th. Michael
Addison Russell was 11. He's not even in the league anymore.
Nope.
Gavin Sacchini was number 12. No idea who that is. Courtney Hawkins was 13. No idea who that is. Nick Treviso was 14. Tyler Naquin was 15. That draft class was terrible.
Well, hold on. No, I wouldn't say that, because Joey Gallo was there, Lance McCullers, Matt Olson, Jesse Winker. Let me keep looking. Hold on. I gotta keep looking. I need to figure out who else was here, because I need it. Okay, Edwin. Okay, Edwin Diaz. Oh God. Max Muncy. Max Muncy was there, so he's great. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's touching. Walker Buehler. was drafted in 12. What the? Where have I been?
There's no way he was drafted in 2012.
I am looking at it right now. Walker Buehler was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
How is that possible? He's 27 years old. 2012 was he would have been like 17.
Explain it to me.
Are you sure it's the same one?
Dude, I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking at his page. I'm looking at his page right now. Walker Anthony Buehler is an American professional baseball pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He played college baseball for Vanderbilt as a member of the 2014 national championship team. So he was at Vanderbilt in 2014.
No. He won it in 2014 and got drafted.
You said 2012 he was drafted. He couldn't have been at Vanderbilt in 2014 if he was drafted in 2012.
On God, what the hell?
There has to be another Walker Buehler then, because Walker Buehler was with Vanderbilt.
No, I went over the thing, and that's his face. That was his face.
Well, maybe it could have been.
Then he was drafted and did not go to Pittsburgh and ended up going to college. Because he was
but why would Pittsburgh hold on to his rights for 2 years? Pittsburgh was weird. I mean, it was 2012. Pittsburgh was kind of good in 2012.
That's when they were good because that's when they had Garrett Cole in that 4-year run.
Yeah, they had Garrett Cole, who was mid as fuck.
They had Cole, they had Tyone, they had all those pitchers.
Yeah,
That 4-year run.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Was that when they had Andrew McCutcheon too?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, they had Kutch. They had
Neil Walker,
Pedro Alvarez.
Neil
That
Walker.
was back when Chris what's his name? Chris what's his name? Fuck. Dog shit. The first baseman was complete and utter dog shit.
Well, the first
Chris
baseman
Jones.
was Chris Jones. Yeah, they had
that was back when he was good.
That was Starling Marte's rookie year. That was Gregory Polanco's rookie year. They had
Come back.
What's his nuts was the catcher back then. It wasn't. Oh, Francisco Cervelli.
Yes,
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
Yeah,
Third base. They had a good third baseman too. I can't remember who was at third that year.
Holy shit.
Mm.
Oh boy, their report an hour ago was Chris Paul could be back as soon as this week. Enjoy it. Enjoy happiness. Enjoy it. I hate my life. I really do.
The other team I think could be a sleeper is Detroit.
I was low-key thinking that.
Because they were one of the hottest teams after the All-Star break last year, and then they added Javier Baez, and a lot of that young pitching is going to be back now.
They didn't really lose much.
No, they didn't lose anything. They added Javier, and then all the pitchers that they called up last year are now going to be in that rotation full-time this year, and they're going to be in the bullpen full-time this year. And I think after the All-Star break, they had the best record actually in the American League Central after the All-Star break, even better than the White Sox. Yep. So Detroit actually started to surprise people last year, too.
100%.
That's why they felt Carlos Correa might end up there and pair with Baez.
Texas Rangers. I don't know if they'll be an upset, but that's a team I'm definitely interested in looking at because they were one of the first teams to make a big move.
And then they kept spending.
Huh?
And then they kept spending.
Right. So I'm very curious to see whether or not it will matter. But this has been ASAP in the morning.
Lennon's got to give his yet.
Is that what?
Lennon's
Lennon.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to say Minnesota's definitely one of mine. I feel like with the additions they've made, I feel like their team overall is stacked. I will say the Red Sox too. Chris Sale, he's coming back fully healthy. One of the best pitchers in the league.
Well,
he's out for like the first month, though, isn't he?
I was about to say the motherfucker's out again.
Wait, he's already out again?
Yeah,
he's out again.
Okay, well,
he's out again.
Then let me change that because I kind of had that writing on him coming back fully healthy.
This was as of 2 days ago. He's out with a rib cage injury, but they don't know what the injury is, so they don't even know how long he's going to miss.
Right. So now, yeah. So that's
if you look at how he pitches, if it's a rib cage injury, that's going to keep him out for a while because of how violent he throws.
At least a minimum month and a half. Minimum.
Yeah.
And ready to say part about it? We just lost Eduardo Rodriguez.
The Tigers.
So it's like our pitching outside of Chris Sale was kind of rough.
You have Eovaldi?
Huh?
You have Eovaldi yet?
Outside of him, who do we have? I'm talking about our entire starting pitcher rotation outside of Sale is very spotty.
Yeah.
Because I love Eovaldi. But then we have Eovaldi and then an inconsistent Erod.
Michael Wacha.
Yeah.
I'll kill myself.
Michael Wacha is going to take over for his thinking Chris Sale.
Turn back the hands of time, Michael Wacha. Turn back the hands of time.
Hey, you got Rich Hill, 44 years young, stepping in there.
Landon, what's the rest of your teams? Dustin's trying to piss me off.
Well, you asked me who was in your rotation. I'm just telling you who's in your rotation. Nick Pivetta.
I was fucking with him for like 3 months. I just call him Slick Nick.
So yeah, you're gonna have Pivetta, Wacha, and Rich Hill as your one stepping in with Sale, and you Sale out right now.
And Wacha's probably our best chance. And yeah,
I will say this. I've got one other team, and I'm going to say the Angels. I feel like
I don't trust Joe Madden. And I'm a Cubs fan, and I don't trust him.
I don't trust him either, but I feel like the way their pitching rotation is, I feel like they can step up.
Not if you hear the in-house that Mike Trout's already upset with them.
When isn't Mike Trout upset with them?
He's never been upset with them until now. Because now Joe Madden says he wants to take Mike Trout out of center field, and he wants to bat Mike Trout leadoff. I'm like, why would you do that?
Spice it up.
I feel like that's a terrible decision. I mean, maybe put Trout in like third or fourth. That way.
That's where he should be. Why would you take your best RBI guy out of the 3-hole?
Why not? I mean, the problem with it, and this is the sad part about it, Mike Trout is your best RBI guy, but guess what? So is your best contact guy.
He is.
So the problem really is, yeah, let's bat him 2, or let's bat him 3. Whoever, like the first 2 runners end up either grounding out or striking out, then Mike Trout gets a single. You know what I mean? I think what he's trying to do is have Mike Trout be first, so that way he can kind of like, get a hit and everyone's kind of excited, like, oh yeah, woo, he got a hit, let's ride momentum. Like, at least that's what it looks like. Now, granted,
but yet he wants to move Shohei to 5 and Anthony Rendon to 6. So who's going to hit 2, 3, 4? Like, what's the point of Trout leading off if your other RBI guy's going to be 4 guys behind him?
Or 4, yeah. I don't know, man. If it does, yeah, and then Trout's numbers are going to drop and everyone's going to say he's garbage. And by the way, I don't know if y'all heard about DJ Chark. He basically, is basically frying Urban Meyer. At this point, Urban Meyer's an idiot.
I mean, does that comment surprise you? Because it doesn't surprise me at all.
At all, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I covered the Jaguars last season, so I had I had a little bit of insight of how that situation was going down in the locker room, and yeah, it's a lot worse than people think. He definitely did not know most of his players outside of Trevor Lawrence and Miles Jack.
Yeah, I guess when John Brown,
I'm surprised he even knew who Trevor Lawrence was because he probably had nightmares from the national championship game.
But I know when John Brown, when they signed him as an agent, he was running route. He messed up on a route, so him and Trevor Lawrence basically took some time to, practice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Urban Meyer says, "Hold on, run it slow. Those Southern boys, their transcripts ain't right." It was just constantly him basically calling certain players dumb, idiotic. But again, does this really surprise us?
No, not really. And wasn't there like who was it that he kicked or something like that?
Josh Lambo.
Yep.
Yeah.
His former kicker. While he was stretching. God bless America. God bless America. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been ASAP in the morning. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us. Lennon, thank you for being here. Dustin, thank you for being here. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Until then, y'all know what to do. Be safe, baby.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.